Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We're diving into a really intense personal account today. It was shared on YouTube.
Yeah, it's a story of profound betrayal happening during just an incredibly vulnerable time for the narrator.
The source material is just so detailed. It really lays bare the emotional journey, but also the strategic fight that came afterwards.
Absolutely. And that's what we're focusing on in this deep dive, right? We're taking this powerful narrative and pulling out the crucial steps, the turning points.
Exactly. We want to understand how this betrayal actually unfolded, how resilience kicked in, and, how a really calculated strategy led to this remarkable outcome.
And this is where it gets fascinating.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Our source, the narrator, Clare Mitchell, she's in this incredibly vulnerable state.
Right. She describes being right in the middle of chemotherapy, specifically her third round.
And she details the physical toll, doesn't she? The burned skin, losing her hair.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nausea, dizziness, feeling incredibly weak. She really needed support.
And this vulnerability, it's key because she'd been advised to stop working.
Right. And she was told, basically, let Ethan handle the finances. Ethan's her husband.
So total dependence, physically, financially.
And she trusted him. She says, I thought I was in good hands, and I believed him.
Which just tragically created the perfect opening for what happened next.
And sadly, you see that support from Ethan start to erode.
Yeah, Claire describes him being there at first for the chemo sessions.
But then the excuses started. The environment was too dark. It was draining his energy.
Emotionally exhausted, he claimed.
Right. And it's a stark shift, isn't it? From supportive partner to this, distant figure.
He started missing sessions altogether until, she says, one day there was just no message at all.
Wow. And it escalated from there.
Yeah, needing space. He even went on a spiritual retreat to recharge.
To recharge himself while she's fighting for her life.
Exactly. For Claire, it was just this profound feeling of abandonment. Even though, as she puts it, his name still showed up under husband.
That's brutal. And there are some really painful details that highlight that detachment, aren't there?
There are. Like when she asked him to be there when she shaved her head. A huge moment of vulnerability.
And he refused. Said he couldn't handle seeing her like that.
So she came home alone, wearing her mother's red scarf. Just underscores how isolated she was.
And it's into this void, this growing distance, that Ethan introduces someone new.
Allison Monroe.
Right. Presented as his miracle solution.
A holistic consultant, he said, hired to accompany and take care of Claire.
And initially, Allison seemed okay. Sweet, soft-spoken.
Making tea, that kind of thing. But Claire had this subtle unease right from the start.
Yeah, she felt something about her bothered me. Described her as too present, her perfume too sweet.
It's that gut feeling, isn't it? That intuition, something's not quite right.
Definitely. And what's really striking is how quickly Allison apparently knew all the details of Claire's medical situation.
Test results, meds, very private information.
And Ethan was constantly quoting her. Allison said this. Allison thinks that. She was becoming deeply enmeshed.
Which should have been a huge red flag looking back.
Absolutely. But the point where Claire's suspicions really seemed to solidify was when Ethan and Allison just disappeared together.
For 2 days. For a breathwork retreat.
Yeah. That's when Claire seemed to realize she needed more than just a feeling. She needed proof.
And that proof, it arrived in a really unexpected way. During a chemo session, wasn't it?
Yes, alone in the clinic waiting room. She used the joint bank app just to pay for a test or something.
Something she wouldn't normally do because Ethan handled the finances.
Right, but that feeling she mentioned, that intuition, it prompted her to look closer at the statements.
And there it was.
Bingo. Not one, but 3 large transfers out of the joint account.
And she gives the exact amount, right?
She does. $346,720 transferred directly to Allison Monroe. Oh my God. While she's sitting there getting chemo.
Exactly. She describes her stomach turned to ice. Her soul nearly left my body. The shock must have been immense.
And the realization hits. This isn't just betrayal.
It's theft. Plain and simple.
And crucially, this wasn't just any money.
No. Claire makes it crystal clear this was her mother's inheritance.
And she connects it right back to her mother's advice, doesn't she?
Yes. Claire, this money is your shield. Never depend on any man. It makes the betrayal feel even deeper, more calculated.
Absolutely. And looking back at Ethan's behavior through this lens, it becomes chillingly clear.
It seems like he was operating under the assumption she wouldn't survive. Maybe within 3 months, the source suggests.
Already living like a widower, as she puts it.
And his spending habits back that up. Spending like he was already on his own.
Buying expensive wines, acting like he had something to celebrate.
As if her inheritance was some kind of lottery prize he couldn't wait to blow. It wasn't just reckless, it was predatory. So, after that devastating discovery in the clinic, what was Claire's immediate next step? Did she confront him?
No, interestingly. Her instinct, even though she was physically weak, was to find concrete evidence of this new life plan they seem to have.
So she went digging.
Yeah. Shaking, still weak, she checked Ethan's laptop.
And she found something.
She did. A payment statement for an apartment, a deposit, $2,800, plus 2 months' rent paid in advance.
To Allison Monroe.
To Allison Monroe, for an address Claire didn't recognize.
Wow. And then the lease itself.
Found it in a folder. Get this labeled Future Projects.
No way.
Yeah. The PDF was titled Lease Unit 1702.
And the details just laid it all bare.
Completely. Lease in Allison's name, paid by Ethan.
Right.
Far side of town, balcony lake view, new appliances.
All picked out with my money, as Claire bitterly notes.
It wasn't just proof of an affair or an apartment. It was proof they were starting a new life.
A life built on the assumption she wouldn't be there to see it.
Exactly. That's where it moves beyond theft into something darker, premeditated abandonment, basically banking on her death.
But seeing the documents wasn't quite enough for her, was it?
Yeah.
She needed to see it with her own eyes.
Right. She asked her sister to drive her to that apartment address. Didn't even tell her sister why at first.
Just parked across the street and watched.
And then she saw them, Ethan and Allison, leaving together.
How did she describe them?
Wearing light, expensive clothes, laughing, holding hands, just living the life they'd planned.
And then that one specific, gut-wrenching detail.
The necklace. Allison was wearing one of my necklaces.
Oof. That must have been the breaking point. Tears. Screaming.
That's what's so powerful. She says, no tears, no scream, just clarity. Absolute clarity.
Clarity.
Yeah. Her thought was, this wasn't going to end like that.
So not collapse, but resolve. That was the moment the strategy was born.
Absolutely. That clarity fueled a shift. Not emotional revenge, but a cold, calculated plan.
Her words were to destroy both of them publicly with the same coldness they used to erase me.
It's a chilling phrase, but it marks that pivot. From victim to strategist.
And the key to that strategy initially was pretending.
Maintaining the facade. She describes acting like she knew nothing, letting Allison keep caring for her.
Making tea, storing her meds, making the bed.
Faking gratitude, weakness, ignorance. It must have been incredibly difficult.
But incredibly strategic. Why was that act so important?
It bought her time, crucial time, while she was keeping up appearances.
She was building her case.
Calmly, coldly, strategically, created an evidence folder on her laptop. Receipts, bank statements, emails, screenshots. Meticulous.
Gathering everything. And then she took a really smart external step.
Contacting the lawyer who handled her mother's inheritance.
Right, not just any lawyer, someone familiar with the money, her family.
And that consultation was huge. The lawyer looked at the evidence she'd gathered.
And confirmed it.
Confirmed she had a strong case. And importantly, gave her a sense of the potential outcome. Told her Ethan would likely come out of it worse than you can imagine.
That must have been validating. Empowering, even.
Hugely. Claire describes her soul starting to breathe again. Knowing the strategy was sound, the path forward clear. And she knew, as she put it, what was coming next would be even better.
That's quite a statement. And the evidence just kept piling up, didn't it? Thanks to her strategy.
Yeah, a crucial mistake by Allison helped.
What happened?
Allison left her phone unlocked. Claire found the chat messages with Ethan.
Oh, wow. What do they say?
Just callous stuff. She's getting worse fastest. Soon we'll have it all wrapped up. Discussing the money, closing things out.
And Ethan saying something about lawyers.
Yes. The next step was getting everything squared away with the lawyer. Claire photographed it, emailed it straight to herself.
That's huge. That's not just proof of theft. That sounds like conspiracy.
Exactly. It potentially shifts things from civil to criminal, raises the stakes significantly.
And she didn't stop there with gathering proof. The hidden camera.
Another strategic move. Got help from a family friend in security systems to install it.
And that yielded more evidence.
Undeniable proof. Footage of them discussing the inheritance. Allison asking Ethan, what are you waiting for her to die naturally?
Unbelievable.
Also caught Ethan on the phone with the bank, discussing early liquidation of their joint assets. Just building the picture of their plan.
And then came that final, audacious attempt to get the rest of her money.
The fake clinic scheme.
Yeah.
Ethan presented her with documents for some non-existent overseas clinic in Toronto,
Claiming they needed a huge upfront deposit for some modern therapy.
trying to get her to move her last remaining personal funds. He really thought she was dying and planned to drain every cent.
But Claire, now fully switched on, she checked it out.
Looked it up, confirmed it was a total scam, showed the documents straight to her lawyer.
And the lawyer's reaction.
Basically, this man is trying to wipe out everything that's yours. Just confirm the depth of the fraud.
So at this point, the lawyer must have felt they had an airtight case.
Absolutely. He confirmed, it's all here, Claire. We've got enough. He listed everything.
Statements, recordings, documents.
The fake contract, the attempt to move her personal funds, the account in Allison's name, even trying to remove Claire from her own life insurance.
It painted a picture of premeditated criminal intent, not just betrayal.
Precisely. It wasn't just betrayal, it was premeditated, it was criminal, the lawyer concluded.
So evidence secured, legal strategy locked, time to execute.
Time for the counterstrike.
Yeah.
And the timing was crucial. She waited until Ethan was away.
He left for that lakeside apartment they'd set up.
Yes. And the second he was gone, Claire sprang into action. Phone calls to the bank.
Freezing funds, activating locks, initiating traces.
All while on a video call with her lawyer, coordinating everything. A really decisive, multi-pronged move.
And she sent a message to Allison too, didn't she?
Just one short, devastating message. I know everything. Signal sent. Game over for them.
There's also that powerful moment she describes just before filing the complaint. Getting ready.
Yes, changing clothes, putting on her mother's red blouse, jeans, lipstick, looking in the mirror.
And seeing herself whole alive again. It's like reclaiming herself physically as she reclaimed her power strategically.
Beautifully put. Then she went to the lawyer's office.
Filed the official complaint, submitted all the evidence, requested assets frozen in both their names.
As she said, the plan wasn't just mine anymore, now it was the law. She turned the system against them using their own actions.
And the immediate result for Ethan.
Coming home to changed locks. And a note.
What did the note say?
You thought I was weak, now you'll feel the weight of my strength. Boom. Counterstrike landed.
The fallout must have been immediate.
Utter chaos for Ethan. Phone ringing off the hook bank, accountant, lawyer.
Joint account frozen, evidence sent to the financial fraud unit.
And the net closed in fast. Within 2 days, Allison's assets were pulled into the investigation too.
What did Allison do?
Tried to disappear, basically. Returned a car, changed her number, tried to hide money, but it was too late.
And Ethan. Still trying to contact Claire.
Desperately. Begging, accusations via text, you're going to destroy everything out of spite. Classic deflection.
But Claire was unmoved by then.
Completely. She had the evidence, the legal backing. His attempts at manipulation were just empty noise.
So the legal process moved forward on 2 tracks.
Yes. Civilly, for getting the money back, the asset misappropriation, and criminally for the fraud and embezzlement charges.
And at the preliminary hearing, Ethan tried to play the victim.
Tried to blame Allison for everything, but the judge saw right through it.
That quote from the judge is memorable.
It is. You didn't seem so desperate when you were buying $900 French wine. Just cut straight to his hypocrisy.
Okay, so let's get to the outcome, legally and personally for Claire.
The legal sentences came down. Ethan got 3 years in prison.
No parole.
No parole, partial loss of civil rights, and crucially, full restitution. He has to pay back every cent of that $346,720.
And Allison.
She received a 2-year sentence.
So justice served on the legal front. But what about Claire's recovery, her health?
That's the other victory here. Her medical report came back stable, promising. The tumor had actually shrunk.
That's fantastic news.
The source even mentions the nurses applauding her at her final chemo session. A really moving image.
And she talks about healing in other ways, too.
Absolutely. Actively getting everything back. Her body, her self-worth, her will to live. She cut her hair differently, walked more, ate better.
And the tattoo.
Got a tattoo. The letter M. For Mitchell, her mother's last name. Reclaiming her identity. Honoring her mother's strength and wisdom.
It really comes full circle. And her perspective on revenge at the end is quite profound.
It really is. It wasn't about watching Ethan suffer.
No, she says, revenge wasn't watching him suffer. It was seeing myself happy again, without fear, without pain, and without him.
That's the real win. Her healing, reclaiming her life with dignity, just like her mother advised.
So the story ends with Ethan living with his mother.
And Claire sleeping peacefully, clean scans, clean name. a powerful end to an incredibly harrowing journey.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean? This story, I mean, it's intensely personal, quite harrowing.
But it offers incredible insights, doesn't it, into how someone can respond to profound betrayal.
Definitely highlights the power of a strategic approach, not just reacting emotionally.
And the absolute necessity of gathering that undeniable evidence methodically, calmly.
It also shows those unexpected reserves of strength people can find, even when pushed to their absolute limit.
And how the legal system, when you have that clear evidence, can be a powerful tool for justice.
It's just such a profound transformation. From feeling utterly powerless
To actively taking control. That shift from victim to victor.
driven not by raw emotion, though the emotion was surely there, but by calculated action and this unwavering resolve.
Yeah, when trust is just completely shattered and the stakes are literally life and death, this account suggests that maybe that blend of inner strength and methodical external strategy, that's the most powerful response.
Which really raises an important question for you, the listener, to think about. What unexpected reserves of strength might you find within yourself when you're faced with your own, perhaps seemingly insurmountable challenges?
And how might a clear-eyed strategy, meticulously planned and executed, be the most powerful way for you to navigate through them?